Hello, everyone, and a warm welcome. Today, I'm going to share with you a sneak peek into the building blocks of a design or the elements and principles of a design, and also tell you how you can use these elements and principles to make your design tell a story. I'm just sharing the presentation with you. Here you go. So in this presentation, I have made a humble attempt to strike a chord between storytelling and designing. By this presentation, I want to convince all of you here that every design has a thought, an emotion, and a point of view, and a story to tell. So come, let's raise the bar and make your design tell a story. Let's start with defining what's a story. Let's hear your take. Yes, a story is a depiction of a journey. It is the sequence of events. Absolutely. So there are many dictionary meanings of a story. A story is a factual or a fictional narrative, a short fictional prose piece, a plot of fiction or drama, an account of facts. But when I summarize all that you have said, in a nutshell, a story is the telling of an event in such a way that the listener experiences or learns something just by the fact that he heard the story. For example, I'm sure you all remember the Lion and the Mouse story your grandmas and grandpas shared with you. And why do you remember that story? Because that story had a very important lesson attached to it, and that was the lesson of friendship. So, similarly, likewise, a design is to be created in a way that the viewer experiences or takes back something just by viewing the design. Many a times, we just look at a design and there's something that just is retained within us and never leaves us. So that is what a viewer experiences when the viewer sees the design. And while I'm saying this, I cannot help but remember the designs created by our dear member Padma Aunty, who had who probably had some magic in her hands. So what was that magic touch? It was the natural flow of materials in a design. So this is what I took back from her design maybe. Now, it is important for us to know that every storyteller needs a listener. So likewise, every designer needs a viewer. It can be, you may argue that at times I make designs to view it myself. So there, you are the viewer of the design and you are the designer. But you still remember the designs you made for yourself, right? Because you took back something from them. So every story has a teller and a listener, and every floral design has a floral designer and a viewer or judge. So when I say stories are told and heard, I also mean that stories are written and read. You may not hold me that she was constantly saying stories are told and heard, but we usually read stories. So stories are written and read. So every story that is written needs a reader to read it. Now, what if I told you that creating such a design where we can take back something or retain something was easy, was simple, and we had a set of rules to actually achieve that. And that set of rules are the building blocks of a design, the elements and the principles of a design. The elements meaning the ingredients or the tools, and the principles is the recipe or the method. As simple as that. So you need the elements, you need the ingredients to make your design, and you need how you will combine these ingredients. You have the ingredients, but you don't know how to combine them. So those are the principles of the design. I'll add a disclaimer here that the list I'm going to share with you of the elements and principles may not be exhaustive, and it's meant for basic understanding, and it is created for the sole purpose of this talk through various compiled sources. You know how storytellers are? They take things from here, 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 there, combine, juggle it up, combine it, and present it as their own. So this is exactly what I have done. I have taken material from different sources and just combined it to explain how a design can tell a story. So the sources I have used to compile this presentation is A, the NAFA's competitions manual, B, the YouTube videos of famous designers who have had orientation videos on elements and principles like Regalesh and Hitomi Gilliam. So now that I have shared the resources and given due credit, let's move forward. What are the elements of a story? Now, elements of a story are the physical components of a story, like character, setting, plot, conflict, theme. For example, if I today give you a character, say A and B, I give you a setting, say a farm or a movie hall. I give you a plot that, this is going to happen in the story. I give you a certain problem, a conflict, you find a solution to that, and there's a theme to the whole thing. I'm sure you all will be able to write stories. You all have all the physical components at hand to create that story. So similarly, there are elements of design. Elements of a design are the physical components of a design. They are the real and the tangible ones, the ones that can be perceived by our senses, the ones that we can see, the ones that we can touch and feel. And they are line, form, space, color, and texture. And believe me, I know this is like a revision for many who have already done it so many times, but there are some newcomers here who are watching this video. Don't get overwhelmed by the elements and principles of design. And no, you don't need to memorize them. You just need to internalize them. And once you do that, it will come to you intuitively. And believe me, it will become your language, the language you speak in. Because you will see many designers talking, you need some more negative space in your design. The lines are not showing. So this is the language you will start talking in. So don't worry. And by the end of this presentation, I am sure you're going to have these elements and principles on your fingertips. Line. Exactly what you thought a line means. A line is a geometric figure joining 2 points. A line is just a geometric figure joining 2 points. We have all been drawing lines through and through our childhood. Draw a line after you finish your work, and we were chided and scolded for the line not being straight. But you get a breather here. In floral design, the lines you make can be crooked, angular, broken, or it can be an applied line. Now, what do I mean by an applied line? An applied line is the line that floral designers may create a visual path by the placement of the materials they use in a design. You can see the blooms on the stick. This is what I mean by an applied line. So line in a floral design can be the linear characteristic of the material itself, like I showed you, or it can also mean the visual path created by the placement of materials in a design. Good. Now we come to form. What is form? Form is three-dimensional. A form in a design, in a floral design, it could mean the transitional forms or the forms used within the design, or it could mean the total effect of the design as a whole. For example, this is a sphere. So this is what I mean by form. So this can be a design itself, wherein the design form is a sphere. However, we can use transitional forms to create a design too. For example, the flower forms we use. Carnations and daisies are mass forms, and the lined flowers are the gladuli, the tuberose, or the rajnigandha. So these are the lined flowers. And we should know that the line and form both play a very important role in telling a story, because a line in a design may dominate the direction of the exhibit, right? Coming to space, we all know what space is, right? Opposite of solid is space, as simple as that. But positive space, negative space. What is positive space? Positive space is the space that we fill by using plant materials. And what is negative space? It is the space that is not covered by plant material. It is the open space. Now, in a floral design, it is important to know that it is necessary to have space within the design and around the design. I think we all have heard this line, make room for butterflies to fly through the design. This is what negative space means. And we should remember that in a floral design, enclosed space is more impactful than open space. Now, how do we create these enclosed negative spaces? Remember those skewer sticks we used to tie it with rubber bands and create triangles out of it? So that triangle created in the middle, that's a negative space. So there are many ways of creating negative space in your design. For example, if I just hold up this form, you can see the spaces in between. This is also called negative space in the design. So we come to two most important elements, and which are very steep in symbolism is color and texture. Now, what do you mean by color? Yes, color is color. You are thinking correct. Red, blue, green, yellow, pink, purple, these colors, they are nothing but the visual hue created by the projected rays of light. But where in a floral design, color plays a very important role. For example, if I had to do something to, depict peace, which is the color I would use? Of course, white, pastels. If I had to depict something fiery, what are the colors I would use? Red, orange. Yes, black. So color is very, very steep in symbolism. And we should keep that in mind. It plays a very important role for making your design tell a story. Now coming to texture. Texture is nothing but the tactile surface quality of the plant materials used. And what is that? I have something to show you. Bitter gourd or Karela. Can you see the roughness? So textures can be rough, smooth, glossy, matte, shiny, prickly, thorny, and this also is very steep in symbolism. And what do I mean by that? For example, you have to show a harsher emotion. Of course, you are going to use a coarser or a rougher material. If you want to show something very lovable, calm, and peaceful, you will use a smoother textured material. And Viola, congratulations! I have something for you. Confetti. Yes, you have, you already have finished the elements of design. We come to principles of a design. Now, what are principles of a design? Principles of a design are simply the ways to combine your elements. What are principles of storytelling? Principles could be voice modulation, how you tell the story. Similarly, principles in a design are balance, contrast, scale and proportion, rhythm, dominance, harmony. What is balance? Exactly what you're thinking. Balance is this side is equal to this side. So just for example, you have a very lightweight container and you put a lot of heavy flowers on it. Will it balance? No, it will topple over. So that is actual balance. And suppose that lightweight container, that same container was made of a very heavy material and you put a lot of heavy flowers in it. It will balance, but will it look balanced? No. So that is called visual balance. So you need to know that in a floral design, you must have visual and actual balance both. Coming to contrast. What is contrast? The word says it, it's different. So you have contrasting textures, contrasting forms, contrasting colors. So you could use all the contrasting elements to create a wonderful composition that tells a story. So for example, in a design, if I use spheres and cubes, those are contrasting forms, contrasting colors, like maybe yellow and orange, maybe black and white, contrasting textures, rough with smooth. So these are the ways we can combine different elements. Now, scale and proportion. Tricky, tricky, but it's very simple. What is scale? Scale is the relative size of the components used in a design to each other or to the design as a whole. And proportion is the quantity of materials used in a design, either with, again, with to one another or to the design. For example, if we are using, if a size of a material is too large or too small, we say that particular material is out of scale. And similarly, if we have used too many blooms of a particular flower as compared to the other flower, we say that this is out of proportion. This is not in proportion. So scale and proportion is as simple as that. Scale is the relative size of the components in a design, whereas proportion refers to the quantity of material used in the design with respect to the other. Coming to rhythm. Rhythm is movement. Like music has a rhythm, design also has a movement. You must have heard us saying, add that Delancia to your design to add rhythm. Add that creeper to your design to add rhythm, because your eyes moves with the creeper through the design. So rhythm is nothing but the way a viewer's eyes move through a design. And it definitely makes a lot of difference in telling an effective story. Dominance, again, the name itself says it. Dominance means any particular material or element is dominant in your design. A particular texture could be more dominant than the others, a particular color can be more dominant than the others, or a particular form can be more dominant than the others. So dominance is just emphasis on one aspect of the design over the other. Now coming to harmony. Harmony is nothing but when whatever I have said till now, when you have integrated it well enough, a well integrated design with the effective use of elements and principles is said to be a design in complete harmony. Viola! And we are done with the principles of the design too. Now let's read this together. A beginning flower arranger may feel intimidated by the elements and principles of design, but rather than limiting and restrictive, they actually provide us limitless possibilities, for they are the keys that unlock the secrets of a pleasing floral design. The AIFT Guide to Floral Design. So as I told you that if you're a beginning floral ranger, you don't need to get intimidated by the elements and principles of design. You should treat this as your stepping stones, or you should treat this as an opening of limitless possibilities that have come to you, a set of rules that have come to you to achieve a beautiful goal of creating a pleasing floral design. Now coming to some examples and illustrations to understand the concepts we have learned better. So what you see in exhibit 1 are 7 cones with pink and white carnations depicting cones of waffle cones with strawberry and vanilla flavored ice creams, and the 7 cones denoting the 7 notes of a song, 7 notes of music, the do re mi fa sol la ti, or sa re ga ma pa dha sa, sa re ga ma pa dha ni sa. The 7 notes of a song are depicted through this design called Summer Sunday, and Summer Sunday being a music fest in UK, as well as depicting the ice cream cones with summer flavors, pastel shades, and summer flavors like strawberry and vanilla. The waffle, do you see the contrasting textures used? Yes, the waffle cones depicting the waffle cones. And definitely the creepers adding rhythm to the design, and there is negative space between the cones that enhance the form of the forms used in the design. Coming to exhibit 2, this design was made to represent Sunrisers Hyderabad, an IPL team with that during those days they used to have a sun and a bird flying as their logo. I'm not following IPL these days, so I don't know whether they still have that logo. But as you can see, this orange circle was created to represent the sun and the bird of paradise, depicting a bird flying into space, and the negative space created by the interconnected wool, the varied textures, and the green amaranthus cascading below on the grey stand beautifully represented the grey and orange cricketers in the cricketers in the grey and orange jerseys on the cricket field. At that time, Sunrisers Hyderabad had a grey and orange jersey, and that's how the story was told. The third exhibit is very close to my heart. It, as you can read, it the topic was tangled, and um, there's a there's a maroon sticker pocket going below, and a little bit of it going up, as if it is tugging but cannot pull apart. It represents a tangled knot of emotions of a girl who's newly married. Her heart her heart wants to go back, her mind wants to stay here, and there's a pull and a push, the pull and the push. She doesn't know what to do. So this is a part of her long to go back home. It nudged her as he held her hand. It was a tangled knot of feelings, and she could not pull forth any strand. So this was to depict that story using contrasting colors and contrasting textures. Exhibit 4, Mystery and Magic. The tilted pot, as if pouring out a magic potion, the mysterious key, the magical plume stuck out of that book, the little bird perched on the stool, were giving a sense of eeriness, mystery, and magic in the design, telling a tale which maybe opens a door. Exhibit 5, The Tale of Love. Two anniversary birds perched on the two corrugated stands, far above the sourness of life, that is depicted. One second, depicted with these lemons. You can see the texture on the lemons, the grainy texture, and the contrasting forms used, the cylindrical tubes, the sphere-shaped lemons, the oval lock pieces are all telling the tale. And how these birds have risen above all imperfections and still in unprecedented love with each other. Coming to the last exhibit and the last example. Now, I have spoken about practically all the elements in the previous examples, about line, about space, about color, about texture, about form. Now, let me hear from you. Do you see the use of line in this arrangement? Yes. Do you see the use of color in this arrangement? Yes. Do you see the use of form? Yes. Do you see the use of texture? Yes. Do you see the use of space? Yes. So this is the design I had created as my WAFA entry for the class title Music for the Senses, and I had tried to make this to depict to appeal to all the five senses: the sight, the sense of hearing, the sense of smell, the sense of uh, feel or touch by the different textures. Apart from sense of taste, of course, I had tried to incorporate all the senses by diffusing a little bit of essential oil to give the fragrance, by using textures for the touch, by and the color obviously for the sight, and even the sound or the sense of hearing. These shola balls with musical notes, you see, had a little bit of ghungru to give the effect of sound. Originality, last but not the least. We have so many storytellers: Robert Jerkins in Singapore, David Heatherfield in UK, Jiva Raghunathan in India. And believe me, I've heard all the three tell the same story, but it's different each time because it is their story, their style. So we must always remember originality is the key. Your golden touch, your hallmark, your signature, right? Many a times you see a design and you say, oh, this design is surely created by her. That's her signature. Let's strive to be original. Let's strive to be creative. Let's do a fun recap. Every design has a story to tell, has a thought, an emotion, or point of view. Do we all agree? Yay. Recap 2. Good news is you have a set of rules or guide or building blocks to achieve this. And recap 3. It is the compatibility of all the elements using the principles of a design to create a harmonious whole that tells a consistent story. Now we have some additional resources for you to raise the bar. You see this boy on the computer? That denotes the YouTube channels you could surf, the Facebook pages you could follow, and the whole internet that is open for you to learn more. You see the girl's face out here? This is to denote you attend talk shows, you listen to, you enroll in classes where the teacher herself teaches you, and or this flower bunch you see here, you can start working with flowers, create your own designs to learn more. And this envelope you see here with the flowers denotes subscriptions. You could subscribe to different magazine, books to learn more. And lastly, thank you so much for being a part of my story. And before I move on to ending this, I would love to share with you a story of the Sultan of Persia that is actually very apt for today. Once upon a time, long ago, there lived a sultan. He loved solving puzzles and riddles and problems. And I think he took it as a challenge. If he couldn't do it, he was very upset. One day, an anonymous parcel came to him. He opened the lid, and there were three dolls, and a message that read, "Find the difference." And every time he got a puzzle, he used to be on it to solve it. And he did just that. He looked at the dolls, he called for magnifying glasses, weighing scales, he weighed them, he minutely checked each, counted each eyelash, checked the hair. Everything looked, felt the same. They were wearing the same dress, they were made of the same wood, they even sounded the same. The king or the sultan could not find any difference between the dolls. All the wise men were summoned. None of them could find any difference in the dolls. They even called the court jester, the clown. He juggled it for a few times. He juggled dolls. He got bored and he said it was a joke. But the Sultan refused to believe. He said, "There is something we are missing." Days passed, months passed, nobody could solve the puzzle. Sultan was also losing confidence in and was about to give up when an old storyteller came to his court and said, "I believe you have something to solve." And the Sultan said, "Oh, so many wise men could solve it. How could you be able to solve it?" He left the dolls with her and was about to leave when the old lady cried out, "Sultan, I am a storyteller, and every storyteller needs a listener. You better stay." Sultan was taken aback that how did she spoke to me like that, and he stayed on. The storyteller lifted the first doll, quickly pulled a strand of hair from the Sultan's beard, inserted it carefully in the right ear of the doll. Soon that strand of hair disappeared in the forehead of the doll with no sight of reappearance. And she said, "My lord, this doll is a scholar. Whatever she hears, she retains it inside. She picked up the second doll, again pulled a strand out from the beard of the Sultan, inserted it carefully in the right ear of the doll. Soon it disappeared in the forehead. But this time, other end of the hair came out of the left ear as it had entered, right through the ear. And she said, "My lord, this doll is a fool. Whatever she hears, she takes it out of the other ear without retaining anything in her." She picked up the third doll, and before the Sultan could stop her, she pulled out the third strand of hair. Tick! Ow! And she inserted it again carefully in the doll's right ear. Soon it disappeared in the forehead. Sultan was also now eagerly waiting from where it will reappear, and it reappeared from the pursed lips of the doll. But this time it had a little twist. Sultan was curious to know why that was. The storyteller said, "My lord, this doll is a storyteller. Whatever she hears, she says it out as a story with a slight twist to make it her own. So all you have to do, my friends, is to listen to the elements, use the principles to juggle it up and present to everyone as your design, your way. Thank you so much for listening to me today. Thank you.